Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside. Let me get everything up on the screen here. There we go. Get my little notes up here just in case I forget something. You never know. It's Monday. Welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 5th day of October 2020. Let me get my mouse out of the way. Well, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I've sort of been in shock over watching the joyride yesterday. I was doing something else while I was working on something, and I hadn't been online, and I hadn't had the TV on or anything. And I need to bend my cards back here a little bit. They're a little too bendy this morning. And I literally said to somebody when I saw a reference to it, I says, "Oh no, you've got to be kidding." They didn't let him do that, did they? Well, they did. I guess the vehicle itself is hermetically sealed. And you could see close-ups of the lead guy in front of him who, was in an N95 and a face shield and all that. But I don't know. Why can't people tell him no? Why can't the doctors not ruin their reputation and their integrity? And I don't understand this. The attending physician for Walter Reed came out and he's appalled. Couldn't believe they did that. Why couldn't he have stopped him? Or does a patient have that much control? I wrote a thing called What's Next on the blog over at Stepping Aside. If you want to check that out. It's a bit of a rant, but I think I asked some important questions in it. Because I doubt you and I mean, normally what I saw one doctor came back on and said, normally this is a reason to have a psych consult. You don't let somebody out, especially on the steroid that he's on. Apparently that causes, mental issues, massive mood swings, so manic, depressive type of behavior, delusional thinking. Steroids can do that. I took them for RA for just a very short time, and I found my mood to be quite volatile. I would get very upset. I would yell. I would, it was awful. And so after, even though I probably felt better than I ever did the entire time I was in treatment for it, just that short period, like a week or so I was on it, I discovered I couldn't take them because I couldn't, have that happen. It was, clearly it was a side effect. So if I can do that on being, and I was only on 2.5 milligrams of prednisone. I mean, virtually nothing compared to what some people have to take. And it still affected me that way. So can you imagine? Was that a reflection of that? Why didn't somebody stop him? Why didn't someone be his doctor? Instead, now we've got however many Secret Service people involved, however many staff, whatever happened here. They could get sick, all because he has to be who he is. I don't get it. Let's take our first 3 cards. See if we can get some clarity on this. Maybe, who knows, maybe the reading will have something to do with that. As always, if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've come back, thank you so much. I take the 13th card each time for randomness sake. Sometimes I do it ahead of time. Sometimes, last week I tried doing that. I'm just not comfortable with it. So anyway, I'm going to do it. I'll just take them when I do the reading. We have Justice as the first card, 11th card of the Major Arcana. Clearly no justice for the Secret Service, who are paid to protect this guy, to take a bullet for him. That doesn't mean that they have to then, offer themselves up to him this way. Why do it? Say no. Quit. Your job's not that important. It's supposed to be the coveted position in the Secret Service. How coveted is it if you have to worry about surviving the guy? 10 of Swords. Darkest before the dawn. reason run mad is another interpretation I've seen for this one. Well, we have judgment. So I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that. I certainly think that that's what happened yesterday. I think that instead of people there being an adult in the room, basically, it was a free-for-all, and this is what happened. He was bored, and I guess that's enough right there. I mean, I thought that when you went into the hospital, you go into a negative pressure room. People don't come in. You know, hospital staff likely does, but I'm sure they limit it because you're contagious. And it's so virulent that to have anybody at all to treat him like it's just another day. How insane is that? Well, I did go ahead and I took the geomancy rune for today. It's poor, which is a lack of impulse control. And then aloes, which means air, fire. What did I get on my hands? Something here on my desk. Air, fire, water, and air. Excuse me. Air, fire, and water at the top, and earth at the bottom. It's drawing the. It's basically the bridge to consciousness and to higher self-awareness. That's otherwise known as the Bifrost Bridge between physical and astral realms. Represents divinity, protection. It means the elk. There's various names for aloes. Aloe, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. That's another one. But I guess with this one, what you're talking about, I mean, it kind of looks like the horns, right, of an elk. It's either the elk or the elk sedge that they hide in, the big grassy stuff that they hide in the marshlands when they're walking around finding stuff to eat, you know. So it's a protective rune. And it's sad that you have to protect yourself against little boy energy that can't seem to grow up and can't seem to understand that there are consequences to his actions. Little boys have to learn that. This one has stayed a little boy forever, though, apparently, and does not understand it and doesn't feel that it applies to him. And now, of course, that he has life and death in his hands, he's willing to exercise it, apparently. I mean, it's just sad. Now, when we take a 3-card reading, we can choose one of them to be the significator. I think that in this case, we're going to have 2 of them be the significator, justice and judgment. So I'm not sure, though, which to start first with. Let's go ahead and start with the 10 of Swords. Here we have the end of illusion. I mean, if anyone was confused, I'm sure there's still people that are confused. But if anyone, I'll just say it again, if anyone was confused, you shouldn't be after yesterday. Okay? Super spreader event on Saturday. We've been lied to. Okay? The doctors are lying about his status. They're lying about everything, and then eventually it comes out. They're like, oh, well, you know, we just didn't want to dampen his mood. No, what happened? Have you ever had a doctor do that for you? I never have. I've had them ignore me. I've had them not give me good care. But I've never had anybody lie to me about the circumstances that I'm in. They might not have any solutions for me, but they tell me what it is. And there's no nonsense. It's you know, yeah, don't do that. I mean, I was told when I had severe RA, don't shake hands with anybody. Well, I did, and some guy did this to me. See my middle knuckle right here? It should look like this, but it doesn't. It's, well, anyway, I can't show you very well. Maybe I can do it this way. But you see, it's all deformed. And this is in a good day, okay? Now, I mean, it's looking pretty good now. But there's still, I can't close my hand all the way. You can see that. I shook a guy's hand without thinking. And he was angry at me because I couldn't fix his problem. But it wasn't mine to fix. It wasn't mine to fix. And so I couldn't do it. I couldn't alleviate his problem. So he shook my hand and he was leaving. and he squeezed it so hard that he broke something here. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and I was told, don't shake anyone's hands. Your hands are not in good enough shape to have anybody touch them. When I would go into the doctor would barely, he would grab my hand just gently and just hold it, and that was the handshake. He didn't. I mean, I think he wanted to see if my hands were hot, because I had so much inflammation. It was crazy. But you know, I just think that this is reason run mad, basically, as they say. It's grief, it's betrayal. The betrayal is complete. But here's the thing. The 10 is about new beginnings. Okay, it reduces to 1. And so 1 is wholeness and unity and new beginnings and all that good stuff, right? And you see, even though you don't see the sun, the night is lifting. And the light's returning. And really, what more can happen to this guy? He's dead on the ground with 10 swords piercing his back. Swords is the air element. It's reason, it's intellect. And in this case, it's betrayal. And we've been betrayed by out of control little boy energy. A man that can't grow up, a man that demands what he demands. And it doesn't matter. It's almost like he holds rallies in order to see how many people will come and adore him, knowing full well what he's doing to them. That he's got them together with no masks and people are getting infected. Some of those people may die, or maybe they'll give it to someone else who in turn dies, or suffers long-term consequences, health consequences from this, because a lot of people that's happening to a lot of people. Where just because it's over doesn't mean it's over. They even call themselves long haulers now. Sometimes you'll see them, they'll come online and they'll give what they're coping with. They'll do a long thread about what they're coping with. It's astonishing. But maybe yesterday what we saw, the cravenness of the joyride, of the slow roll in front of the group of people that were there, honking and yelling and playing loud music. And no, born in the USA, listen to the music, listen to the words. If you really knew what the words were, you wouldn't be playing that for him. That song was written in protest of people like him. Just because there's this phrase, born in the USA, doesn't... Listen to the words. Go Google them. Read them. It's not promoting your cause, in other words. Lord. Oh, and the one, Fortunate Son, is another one. Listen to the words. Google them. The writer of it, the author of it, is like, what are you doing? Here we have Justice, the 11th card of the Major Arcana. Lady Justice holding the scales in her left hand and a sword in her right, straight up to Spirit. Basically invoking justice of Spirit. You see the 2 pillars that she sits between. You see the power of that, the power of justice, the power of Spirit to invoke justice into the equation, with her red gown and the red drape behind. Otherwise, you're looking at gold. Gold meaning Spirit. And the creative impulse. It's about balance. It's about fairness. It's about surrender to the higher principles within, and irrespective of what you might want, you might want to go on the joyride, but you can't, because there's no justice in that. When you let the little boy energy go away from you, where is the protection? Where is the protection of self and others? It's like the woman who's, I kid you not, I'm at the grocery store. She's the bagger. She's bagging our groceries. We're staying back. She's only got a face shield on. We watched her lead the people in front of us. Little boy had a mask on. He was maybe 4 years old, 5 years old at the most. And she's leaning forward with her mask, with her face shield on, to talk to him. Get away from him. Oh, Lord, I would have been insane if I had a child like that next to this woman. And get this, the checker, oh, she's got to be 7 months pregnant if she's a day. She's got a mask on, but she can't protect herself or her unborn child from this woman, her coworker, any more than any of us walking through that check stand, mask or not, can be protected from this woman. If she's ill, she doesn't know it. If she's infected, she doesn't know it. She works all day long in a place where not everybody has a mask on. How does she know if she's sick or not? You see, this is the problem we're coping with now. You don't know until you know. And in that time that you don't know, you infect all kinds of people without realizing it. So if all you do is wear a face shield, again, you're deluding yourself. But at some point, the angel Gabriel is going to blow his horn in the 20th card of the Major Arcana, and we're going to have some judgment, realization, awakening. Everyone's up out of their coffins, arms raised in supplication. Well, the guy's trying to, but, not quite. But his face is upturned towards spirit. You see the flag here, the cross on the flag, and that's basically, we talked about this. In fact, I even wrote it out, so I don't have to write it out. Basically, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about spirit and form. We should be hovering right about here if we were an awakened human. This is the line of the abyss that we go through when we focus into form. Once we get there, it can also represent the feminine and masculine, or receptive and projective presence, energy. So in other words, it can represent polarity and how balanced we are in terms of polarity. It can also mean service to self versus service to others. So I think that you're looking at this balanced sort of expression here, to where you rebalance with judgment. And come to an understanding of the effect of your behavior in life. What was that? What was the effect of your behavior on others with respect to the COVID virus? Are you somebody who is going to have to look back on this time and realize that you contributed to the spreading of the virus? Particularly if you got it and you weren't taking any precautions, or minimal ones, like just wearing a face mask and not, or face shield rather, and not a mask itself. Because you basically have to ask yourself at this point, what are you protecting and who are you protecting? You're not even protecting yourself. Because if you just wear the shield, it's open, right? Stuff can still come in. And you're not protecting anybody from your breath that's coming out. It's going out, it's going around, it's mixing with the air, and it's affecting people. So at this point, perhaps we finally woke up. And if not, wake up. That's what the card's telling us. Wake up today. You've gone as far as you can go. You've reasoned yourself to the point where nothing's making any sense anymore. And whatever the reasons are that you tell yourself, it's delusional. You're deluding yourself. Okay? Sometimes when this is not about what we're doing to ourselves, sometimes this is betrayal by other people. And aren't you sick of it? Aren't you sick of going out to the grocery store and having to look around and make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do? And if not, then you got to go down another aisle, right? And if it's too much, I just leave. I just say, well, maybe this is not the time to be here. We'll have to come back. But we'll go to a different store. We won't come back to that one, see, not that day. I mean, we only have so many here, right, in where we live. And so And you know, we live in a smaller area, and so there's only so many places you can shop. And I mean, we have one where you've got I saw two people in the produce department, two staff people. Guy's got a net gator down over his mouth barely, and he and the coworker are looking at the produce. They're talking about it, so they must be changing shifts or something. I don't know. And he's and Lord only knows what he's breathing out all over the produce. So now I don't buy produce in that store, at all. Period. And end of discussion. I don't, and I never will. If we're going to get through this, I mean, we have over 210,000 people dead. If we're going to get through this, we have to stop this nonsense. We have to understand we have to do the same thing. I saw a little video today online of a grocery store in Thailand. You can't go in. There's like an iPad looking thing, and it takes your temperature. I just say the iPad looking thing because that's the shape of it. And it takes your picture. It makes sure that you have a mask on. If you don't, the turnstile or whatever you have to go through locks. You don't get to come in. So it takes your temperature. If it's up, you don't come in. If you don't have a mask on, you don't come in. It won't let you in. And so therefore, it takes the burden off of the store, other than to make sure people are still, you know, abiding by the rules once they get in there. But you see, in this country, we don't want to do that. You don't have people in stores that are walking around making sure people got their masks on right. Pull it up. There's nobody doing that. They leave it to the rest of us. And that's a risky thing to do, because maybe then you have somebody go, you know, bananas at you and start coughing on you and yelling at you and everything else. So it's a ridiculous place we all find ourselves in, and to go out anywhere, it's stressful, especially if you're somebody who's had a long illness like I did. I assume that my immune system is much better now, but how do I really know? And so I just assume I still have a compromised immune system. Most people in this country do. And that's just a fact. This isn't the healthiest nation. And so for any of us to do anything at all that affects other people is just astonishing. You know, where is the justice in that? Where is the balance? Where is the reason? Where is the higher level awareness? Where is the soul awareness that should be coming in at this moment and saying, okay, I need to protect not just myself, but everybody else? Where is that inside everybody? It's there for a lot of us. But what about those that there isn't? I mean, the clear example is the guy in the Oval Office, hospitalized, who's now talking about wanting to get out today. They're going to make that decision this afternoon, so he can go back to the White House and reinfect everybody there. He didn't tell anybody that he was ill. And if it's true that he was likely ill before that debate last Tuesday, he didn't tell the Biden campaign. This is criminal. You know, we saw this with HIV, that it's criminal. If you go and knowingly engage in behavior that can potentially infect other people, that's criminal. So what are we doing? What are we doing to each other? What's the guy in charge of the country, what a joke that is, doing to people, doing to his supporters who put their faith in him? Clearly it's misplaced, but they don't realize that yet. What's it going to take for people to wake up and realize they've been betrayed, and that whatever they're thinking isn't working for them anymore, and that it's time to shift perception into something else and allow the light of spirit to inform what that is? Let go of the poor energy, the little boy energy. Just let it go and grow up and realize that your behavior has an effect on others. Understand what that is and awaken. My video wants to cut off on me or to dim on me here. So anyway, I guess that's it. I'm just still in a state of shock over what I saw. I could not believe that no one can tell this man no and have it stick. No one can reason with him. Again, is it the steroid that he's on? Yeah. Do a psych eval. That's what they do before they let you do that. Do something like that. They discharge you against medical advice. Before they do that, they get a psych consult, see if they can keep you for 72 hours on a psych hold. When you want to do something like this that's endangering other people, but no, they just let this guy do it. Nothing makes any sense anymore. Anyway, we'll talk again tomorrow. Thanks a lot. I hopefully we'll have a little bit better, something better to talk about. Maybe some people will have resolved some of this and are going to make him toe the line. But I don't know. We got to have something like that though happen. In other words, we've got to see something normal happen instead of all of this chaos. Because that's all it's been for the last 4 years. It's nothing more than chaos. Where you sit back and you watch, wait a minute, why isn't government functioning? Where are the checks and balances? What's going on here? Why was that allowed to happen? Why is this happening? Yeah, we shouldn't have to ask those questions. And yet, we've been asking them for 4 years now. So, make a different choice. Anyhow, you guys have a good day. We'll talk again tomorrow. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And I'll post this over on the blog, over on the side panel, as you know. And otherwise, you can watch it here on YouTube. And be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask if you go out around anyone at all. No matter what. Be safe. And blessed be.